Alrighty, YouTube. Today we're coming out full on vulnerable. I just played a work of art. Like, actually, genuinely a game that reminds me why this medium is so beautiful. And I don't think that this game would work if it was any other medium than a game. I don't think this would work as a show. I don't think this would work as a movie. And let me check my time on it on Steam. I only played it for 96 minutes, and look at how it left me. 96 minutes. I absolutely recommend getting this game and playing it before I talk about it, because I'm going to go into spoilers. I'm going to talk about the entire game, and I'm going to give an entire review. And oh my god, I can't not tell you to play this game before I talk about it. So please, before you watch this review, go play Before Your Eyes. It's on Steam. I think right now it's on sale. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's so good. Hold on. Let me see what it is. It's $2. Okay? I don't know if it's on sale or if it's just always $2. It's $2 right now until March 20th, and the sale ends, and it's normally $10. I'm actually gonna do a little something here. I'm gifting this to Warren. He can. I want him to play this before he watches this video, so I'm gonna give it to him for free because oh my god. Oh wait, I wanted to buy that. So basically, this is a game about a person, a human. And the way it works, I just gifted it to him, by the way, guys. Sorry about that. Like, wait. Dude, I'm like, dude, there's still tears on my face. I don't know if it's like, oh my god. Okay. So, basically, the game is about this, you're like you've passed on. You've passed away, you've died. And you have been picked up by like this wolf guy who's like, I'm gonna tell your story to this gatekeeper, and if your story's good enough, if your story impresses this gatekeeper, then you'll get to go to their world. But if it's not good enough, and he doesn't really say more than that, that's kind of where he ends. He basically says you need to have a good story of your life. It needs to be your life story. And so you go on to tell this story of this life. And, you know, you were a kid, your mom pushed you to play piano, but you didn't really want to, but she kept telling you to play and practice until eventually she sends you off to, like, this school where it's for piano. And when you go to that school, you get like these really complicated pieces of piano to play, really difficult to play, and it starts to, you know, weigh on you, and so you're supposed to practice it, and on the night before your audition, you're doing pretty good at the piece, okay? And she's like, you need to go to sleep, you got your audition tomorrow, but you never really wanted to be here in the first place, so it gives you a decision. I don't know what happens if you don't choose the decision I did, so I'm just gonna go over what I chose. And my choice was to sneak out with the girl that like your neighbor girl who was lonely, and so you started talking to her, and you really get connected to her, and so you go and you start to talk to her. Oh, just so you know, I forgot to mention entirely, this game moves when you blink. So when you blink, you skip forward, whether it be like 10 minutes, an hour, 2 years, it keeps skipping. Every time you, well, not every time you blink, it'll let you see like certain cutscenes to an extent, but there will be like this, what are they called? The little freaking, they start with an M. They help you keep a beat. It said the name of it in the game. Beat thingies. Come on. Is it a pendulum? No, I don't think it's a pendulum. No, it's not a pendulum. Is it a monochrome? Is that what they're called? I think it might be a monochrome. Nope. Oh my god, it's like a beat, thing that helps keep a beat. I cannot remember what they're called. Metronome! it literally says it in the game, like, oh, this is a metronome, like when your mom's explaining to you about music. But anyway, there'll be like a metronome at the bottom of the screen. When that's there, if you blink, you're gonna skip forward. I was having real big issues with my webcam, like saying that I was blinking when I wasn't. So I had to calibrate like a million times to make it to where it blinks. Because as you can see, it's like above me. So like I was looking down at the screen, and I guess sometimes when I moved my eyes down, it like calibrated that as a blink. So I would skip forward even though I didn't blink. It started to really, I was getting angry. But basically, where was I? Oh yeah, I snuck out. I was a devious little child, and I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. And you go to the beach with that girl that you basically started getting attached to and stuff like that. And you go to the beach with her, and you basically, you stayed out there on the beach, and why is my camera doing this? And you end up getting like, not caught, but like, well, yeah, you do get caught. Your parents are pretty grumpy about it. Like, oh, well, your mom's pretty grumpy about it. Your dad, he doesn't really care. But it was like dude, there's something on my cheek and it's bothering me. Is it not there? Am I tripping? No, there's something there. It's not dirt. Okay. And so, she's like, you shouldn't have done that. You have an audition today. You need to sleep on the way there. So you go to sleep, and then you get to the place, and you play the piece, but you do horrible. You get cooked, okay? At least in my perspective. I don't know what happens if you take the other path. I don't know if it lets you take that other path. I chose to sneak out. I don't know what anybody else chose. I don't know what this game was when you didn't play the way I did. Because there's a lot of trophies. I'm sure it's possible not to do that. Probably. But anyways, you go to the beach, and I just want to mention this because it was really cool. When you were on the beach, there was like a constellation, like there was like a sky of stars, and if you managed, you get an achievement for it. I didn't do it, but if I ever replay this game, I don't know if I ever will, because I don't want to ruin that first impression. But you spelled the word "stay" here. Also, sorry I've been gone. We'll get to all that at the end of the video. But it's like you spell the word "stay" here in the stars. I thought it was pretty cool. And so you absolutely flunk the piano, and so your mom is pretty grumpy about that. She's driving you home, and she's like, oh, this sucks, la-di-da-di-da. And then you get home, and then you get diagnosed with a sickness, and you basically have to stay in your room for a year. Now during that year, you start drawing. Well, you've been drawing since the beginning. Like you started drawing in like your history class where you sit next to the girl. But you start drawing, and you're doodling, and you draw this boat, like this boat you had as a toy when you were a kid. You draw it over and over, and then eventually you win a prize on how good the drawing was. And you start to become a painter. You learn art, and you get a lot of masterpieces. Now you're like a world-renowned painter. And then you go back to the wolf guy, and he's like, yo, what's good? And then like these birds start cawing like crazy, like rah, rah, rah. He's super loud, and he's trying to tell a story of your life. But once he starts bringing up the painters, they start cawing more and more and more and more. And then he's like, okay, I didn't tell you something. These birds are all liars. They got caught lying to the gatekeeper, and now they became these. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, there were some scenes where stuff would happen, but it was extremely difficult to keep your eyes open that whole time. I don't think you were supposed to. I think they were supposed to be very difficult because you're supposed to experience them later, which is what I'm about to explain. And basically, the wolf guy's like, okay, so hopefully you're not lying. Hopefully you don't have to become one of them. And then, you're going up like the elevator, and he's like, here's the thing. I know you're trying to skip something. I know you're not telling me something. I know there's something you're lying about. And so we're going to go back through your story again. And so then he makes you skip all like the meaningless stuff, like, oh, this is your, like all the stuff that gets you attached to like the world, and like this is you. And so you start blinking through, and you're going through, and you eventually go to the first of 3 scenes that were really hard to not blink through, which is a phone call. Your mom's getting a phone call. Dude, this one is a staring contest. I had hit escape to pause the game so I could blink a few times and then go again, because it was like, even like with like the relaxed like don't blink thing, it was so difficult. It's actually a very long scene of just don't blink, but you were supposed to not blink, and when you do that, you get to the end and you find out that now her dad is grumpy. She didn't live up to the expectations. You didn't live up to the expectations. It's like a good old line of nobody's living up to people's expectations in piano, because her dad forced her to play piano to be a good one, and now she's doing the same thing to you, even though she hated it too. And so now she's disappointed in herself and in her dad. So that was like a whole subplot. You just play the game. I mean, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. And the second one is you're walking to this door. And, I almost forgot to mention, you have a cat, all right? The cat is a chill cat, all right? One day, it goes out for a few days, and you guys are like, where'd my cat go? Oh, no. And then, hold on. It's saying that something's making sound. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. You're like, where'd the cat go? It ends up coming back pregnant, and then it has a bunch of kitties. And then, everybody's like, how did you let this happen? These are kitties. We don't need kitties. This is whoopsie daisies. And so now you're walking to this door, and you start to see, like, some red outside of the door. And as you go to the door, you see that, like, all the cats have been, like, murdered. All the kitties. The real cat, I mean, you never specifically see him. But, like, all the other kitties were, like, destroyed. And, it's described as you, like, that was the moment that you realized that just living wasn't enough. And then the last one is you're walking through a hall, and you had just gotten diagnosed with your sickness, and you're walking through the hall, and your mother says, what if he never gets better? And basically letting, like, the game, like, that this is a very bad sickness that your character is going through, and while you're supposed to stay home from school for a year, you don't know if that could be extended. You don't know if that's going to be more. It basically strikes fear in the player that this is the only age your character gets to. You only get to, like... Actually, I'm not going to spoil that. I'm not going to spoil that, because I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep talking about this and everything that you know. And so you keep going, and basically you never became a painter. That never actually happened. When you got sick, you stayed in your room and you started writing, like, little stories. And now these stories, you don't become a world-renowned writer, despite what you might think. Now these stories are basically your life. And then you go back to, like, the present again. Oh no, remember when we went back into the present the last time? Yeah, he's like, let's test out your story. And so he's telling the story, and you basically have to make a few decisions. I'm going to tell you the decisions I made. I don't know what happens when you choose the other decisions, because I didn't make them. It was basically, you grew up lonely, is what I said, because, I didn't have a lot of friends or anything. I just had, Chloe, which was, well, we'll get on that later. And then it's like, what was your mom? Was she a composer or an accountant? Accountant was her job, but she only used that to make ends meet when her real dream was being a music composer. So I picked composer. And then she was training me to play piano, and did I think of her as I can't remember the word. It was like a big word that was like, it was encouraging. Was she an encouraging, or was she like a demanding teacher? I chose demanding because she was, and I, obviously showed that with my actions of leaving the areas and stuff like that. But, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And so I chose demanding, and then he's like, so you chose to sneak out, and you spent a night on the beach with, was it your best friend or your first love? I picked first love, and that's going to be really important from here. So basically Chloe, which is the girl you've been growing up with, I just officially announced her the first love, which it's kind of obvious that's where the game is pushing you to be. It's not supposed to be a best friend. At least that's not how I thought. So I picked first love, and then the game keeps moving. So then you write the same story that he was saying, except you only tell, like, the first half of it, because all the rest of it was a lie. All that stuff about you painting wasn't true. So you start to type out the story, and Chloe comes in to read it, and she's like, wow, I'm your first love? Well, yippee! And so, she's really happy about that. And then your mom wants to read it, and after she reads it, the game forces you to, like, close your eyes, like, hold them closed. If you open them, it stops the cutscene, so you have to, like, hold it closed the whole time. And your mom's like, I can't say that I like the story, because, you kind of said that she was demanding, and then she was like, she wouldn't let you fulfill what you wanted to do. And so your mom, you know, she's like, I can't say it. And so your dad comes in and he's like, hey, I loved your story. I'm sorry you felt that way, but these words are amazing. And so the story continues, and basically your sickness only gets worse. You start like really growing more and more sick. Basically that's like in the game it shows it as like a red scraggly line thing. It was really weird, and it got really loud when it was worse. So I would also recommend playing it with headphones. At this point, if you're watching the video, I really hope you played this with headphones, because you gotta play this game. If you haven't played this game and you're still watching the video, I just spoiled it. I'm sorry, but I told you we were getting into it. But yeah, so you have to put on these headphones, and I mean, you basically you're sick, and the sickness keeps growing like the red, and then eventually, has Warren texted me yet? Son of a nugget. Eventually, you write like one more story, and you're like, I am a loser. I'm the worst. I can't remember what the character's last name was, but it wrote like the last name of your character to ever exist. I didn't even do anything to fight off the disease. I just laid down and died. And then like the thing gets super big, and like you start like it starts freaking out. Your mom's like by your side, and she's like, no. And then eventually you go to the ER, and they give you like this thing where when you push the button, it's gonna like administer a drug to stop you from feeling pain. And so you have like medicine and a sandwich you're supposed to eat and some orange juice. And so every day you do that, and people come in and out of the room. I think this was when Chloe found out, like read your story for the first time, was when you just got that. And you keep getting worse and worse, like where you're taking like just a bite of your sandwich, and there's like a bunch of pills, and you only drink a little bit of orange juice, and then you push your button, but that red thing doesn't really go down that much, so the pain is getting worse. And then people come in and out of the room. People are talking about how, you know, your mom isn't as active in her music as she used to be. And then eventually you get this cutscene where your dad's in your room, and he's like, hey, remember when you were really small and you played, which this part does happen at the beginning of the game. Remember when you were really small and you played that melody that your mom created on the piano without ever actually like learning the melody? She was so happy, and it really brought her back into being a composer again. And it was like I got her back. You brought her back from being lonely and being far away from her dream and more focused on work. Could you do that again? And so despite being sick, you play the song one more time, and dude, oh my god, that like when you're playing the song, the music in this game is so good. It's amazing. Dude, I teared up just listening to the song, like with your mom listening, and like knowing like I'm probably gonna die. Like it was a real painful scene where you're playing the piano, and you're just like, I think this is, and like your mom's listening, and it's a very emotional scene. It was very well made, beautiful music for that scene. It was actually so good. And then the game, sorry, I'm like tired. I'm not tired. When I cry, my brain is like shut. I cried pretty hard at the end of the game. And so you go back to the present, I'm pretty sure, and like with the wolf guy, and he's like, hey, let's go talk to the gatekeeper. And so you go through the gatekeeper, and then you're laying down in bed, and you know the red thing's gone, which is nice. You're not feeling pain anymore, but you're also like out of it. Like beforehand, the red thing was super big, and every time you tried to do something in the game, it wouldn't let you. It would just like melt away. You couldn't do anything. You were too weak. You were too in pain. So now you weren't feeling pain, and your mom was like, I never told you how I felt about the story. I liked the story. I liked the things that happened in the story, but I didn't like the character. And the main character was you. You were recapping your life. She's like, I didn't like the main character. I don't think it's the main character I know. Let me tell you about the character I knew for 11 years, because I wrote you a story. And so she tells you, like, the recap of your life. Bro, I'm getting, like, a lump in my throat, bro. And she's like, you were a great person, and you were ordinary, in an ordinary family, and despite you not doing great things, but despite you not, you know, changing everything, and despite you not being well renowned, it's It's not that matters. What matters is that you made your parents feel better in this place where they were lonely, and that you took the neighbor who was also lonely and you made a friend out of her, and then she leaves you a note that says that you're her first love too, and then you were an amazing person despite being so ordinary, and you never got to live past the age of 12. It was so good. It was so beautiful, and I'm tearing up right now. It was so good. Please, if I just spoiled everything for you and you still haven't played the game, I haven't given it the respect and the absolute amazingness that the game is. So please, for the love of God, go buy this game. It's only $2 right now, and even if it isn't $2 right now, it's $10. Beat it in 96 minutes and refund the game on Steam. Please play it. Please. If you have a webcam, if you have it, play it. Even if you don't, you can just left click. You just need a computer good enough to run like PS2 graphics, and you can play this game. And for something I hadn't heard about until I watched a video from this guy named Daryl Talks Games, this game needs more attention, and I think I really want people to play this game. So please, for the love of God, go play Before Your Eyes if you haven't already. And if you have, tell me if you cried, because I did. At the very end, when it's recapping your life and saying that despite you not changing everything, you're still going to die happy. That was so painful, but so good. Please, dude, I'm like actually getting emotional. It's such a good story. You need to watch it. Or play it. It would not work in anything but a game, and I think the idea of using your blinks to pass time is amazing. Before Your Eyes is in the top 5 games I've ever played. I'm sorry, Elden Ring, you're getting knocked off the list because this is better than Yakuza 0. My top list now goes Persona 5, Kingdom Hearts 2, Before Your Eyes, Yakuza 0, and Dark Souls. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.